New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And good morning, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you here on a Saturday morning. It is time for the Science of Mind and Spirit lecture series, and that means it's 9 a.m. on a Saturday here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Reverend Robert Brzezinski. Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 13, and that's called Causes and Conditions. And I want to begin by, number one, saying thank you to the team that's making all of this happen. And I need to make a banner because I forgot to do that. But most importantly, I wanted to give a quick shout out for, if I could speak and spell at the same time, life would be easier. I wanted to give a shout out because today is May 1st, and that means a couple of things. Number one, it's World Labyrinth Day. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. If you don't have plans to go walk a labyrinth today, then perhaps make some quick. But there's labyrinth events happening all over the planet. I'm going up into the mountains to walk a very special labyrinth with some very special people. I'm excited about that. So, and today is the 1 year. Now, last year on May 1st, we had the first annual New Thought Radio Marathon. We didn't do that this year. I realized calling that the annual was a good idea when I started it, and it just wasn't fitting to do another big, huge 13, 14-hour marathon type thing. And partially because this is here, and I think this is more important. And this is a grand idea. If you're new to this broadcast, we're using the Science of Mind textbook. We go through chapter by chapter. We got a whole bunch of cool people that are sharing with us. And last week, if you're following along, Reverend Victoria Bomberry was with us, and she spoke on chapter 11, which is mental and spiritual treatment. And we started talking about treatment and the power of prayer, really. I mean, Holmes always called it treatment and would use the word prayer as well. Now, that was chapter 11, and that was last week. If you're following along in the book, you'll see that chapter 12 is really only 2 pages, and we jump right into chapter 13. So I'm going to kind of cover a little bit of both of those today. I'm just going to cover what I think is really the important part of chapter 12. And then we're going to jump into chapter 13 and keep moving forward and look at these causes and conditions. So if you have your book, grab your book. And if not, no worries. I trust you'll have some fun and be able to join us as well. Good morning, Wayne. Thank you for shining your light with us. See that? I made that banner so quick. I totally made it wrong. Let's try that again. And then I let it run for a while before I saw it. Life is good. Causes and conditions. So thank you again for being with us here this morning. I'm gonna get just a little bit more centered than I was before we started this program. I take a moment to close my eyes and center in. I invite you to join me in recognizing there is truly only one thing going on here, and I call that God. And so I recognize God as the source, the supply, the never-ending wellspring of love and light and beauty and truth and health and wealth and well-being of everything. Having its being, expressing itself as my life perfectly, as the lives of each and every one on this planet and beyond. So what I know is there is a great revelation upon us in this moment, in this time. There is an opportunity to be together in spiritual community and to share in the learning of the science of mind and exploring this philosophy. So I am grateful for what happens, focused on the future, and open to allowing. And I let that be. And so it is. Thank you. Okay. So, page 177, chapter 12, Holmes writes, the possibility of spiritual mind healing, changing environment, controlling conditions, etc., through the power of right thinking rests entirely upon the theory that we are surrounded by a universal mind which reacts to our thought and always according to law. Now, in a lot of ways, this is the science of mind philosophy right there in one paragraph. Boom. The possibility of spiritual mind healing, of using affirmative prayer, that's what you just heard me do, using affirmative prayer to change the environment, to control the conditions, etc., center myself, get back focused into what I had planned and what I intended to share with you here this morning. All of that is available to us through the power of right thinking. And we have to, in order for that to all work, we have to believe in the power of the universal mind, of the one, of God, of Spirit, Allah, Buddha, Brahma, Yahweh, Vishnu, Kuan Yin, whatever name you want to give it. That's that universal mind. It is always and can only, really, it has to, I should say, it's compelled to respond according to the thoughts that we put into the universal mind, into the universe. The next couple of pages, Holmes explains that paragraph. And he does it great. So we come from that first, and that's the first place we've got to get to. And for me, that's great because that's the summary of part 2. That is the summary of, and this section is him. This is where we're at, folks. If all of this is possible, then we can do anything we want. So part 3, chapter 13, we come to what he also calls the spiritual mind healing. Although this, now we're going to start looking at the practice of it, the actual use of it, the good stuff, right? The stuff where we get to put what we have learned so far. And we're 180 pages into this book at this point. And with Holmes, that we've got a pretty good study going on so far following this. So, on page 183, mental practice deals only with thought. Mental practice deals only with thought. The philosophy of spiritual mind healing is based upon the conception that we are living in a universe of intelligence, a spiritual universe, that thoughts are things, that definite states of consciousness, as they become subjective, operate through a creative field and tend to reproduce themselves in form. What we think about, we bring about. What we think about, we bring about. Anyone that's battled with depression knows this. In any form, there is that self-feeding cycle that is a downward spiral of our belief system. And what we do is we obsess and think about that, and I've been there, and it just keeps piling on, and then something happens and gives you another excuse and another piece of the proof. Yep, there it is. All really, I believe, now it's not easy, and it takes time, and it takes effort, it takes help, but we can reverse those trends fairly quickly and start looking at and finding the proof that life is working. That's one of the challenges I have for you this week, is how do you turn anything that happens into your life? How do you consciously direct yourself to seek the good, to look for the good, to find that there has to be something in here somewhere? In this early part of this chapter, Holmes is saying that it's all about our thoughts, and that spirit, and this is on page 184 now, paragraph 2, spirit is changeless reality. That which we call personality is the instrument through which spirit operates, but spirit can operate for the individual only by operating through the individual. Spirit is never bound by the form it takes. It is not affected, not an apparent cause or condition. So God doesn't care what form it takes, really, right? It doesn't have that. There is no capability saying, oh, it's better to be in this form, or, oh, I got to be in that form. And no, spirit is changeless reality. It's available. So in this same paragraph, he speaks and says, always expect the good. Always expect the good. Have enthusiasm, and above all, have a consciousness of love, a radiating feeling flowing through your consciousness at all times. Treat yourself until you have an inner sense of unity with all God. Now, when he says treat yourself there, what he's saying is do your work, do your spiritual work, do your prayer work. Join us at 8:15 a.m. and p.m. on New Thought Media Network and catch our prayers. All of our prayer team, everybody's, and you're in this place where, in that prayer time, where we are not only affirming our good, but we're reminding ourselves of what's available to us, of what's available. So always expect the good, have enthusiasm, and above all, a consciousness of love. We just have to love what's coming our way. Noticing a quick comment here, Roy, I'm not sure what's happening, but you're commenting, and everything here on Facebook, everything here says that it's broadcasting properly. Thank you for making the comment, and I'm glad to see that you found us on YouTube. I think YouTube's a better place to find us anyway most weeks than trying So anyway, glad you're here, Roy, and glad you found it. Page 185. Boom. Now, that page 185, the whole top section is all one paragraph. But I want to start about 6 or 7 lines down. To daily meditate on the perfect life and to daily embody the great idea is a royal road to freedom, to that peace which passeth understanding, and is happening to the soul of man, of human. My apologies. My intent is to gender, to eliminate the gender references in most of these readings, and sometimes they slip in. So, to daily meditate on the perfect life and to daily embody the great ideal is a royal road to freedom, to that peace which passeth understanding, and is happening to the soul of everyone. Let us learn to see as God must, with a perfect vision. Let us seek the good and the true and believe in them with our whole heart. Even though every man we meet is filled with suffering and limitation, even though every man we meet is filled with suffering and limitation appears at all sides. Now, there's some key words in here, right? Limitation appears. It's not the truth. It's just, it's appearing. It seems to be. And here's the one. Ready? Hold on. Buckle up. Here it comes. We cannot afford to believe in imperfection for a single second. To do so is to doubt God. It is to believe in a power apart from God, to believe in another creator. Let us daily say to ourselves, perfect God within me, perfect life within me, which is God, come forth into expression through me as that which I am. Lead me ever into the paths of perfection and cause me to see only the good. By this practice, the soul will become illumined and will acquaint itself with God and be at peace. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Not for a second. Well, Robert, I get that. But there's people out there that don't have enough food. No, not for a second. There is enough food. There is enough. We might have to work a little harder than normal to get them the food. We might have to get off our butts and do some work in the world to get things happening. But we have to stay in that belief. And it has to start for doing this for ourselves. It has to start by learning to do this for ourselves. So, on this program, if you're new with us, we do encourage comments and questions. Sometimes I answer questions as I go. Sometimes I push them off all to the end. This one's important, though, and I'm sorry that we don't have your name here. If you're in one of our groups, StreamYard does ask that you verify and go through and lets us see your picture and your name. I trust you know who you are. In finding the good in each situation we find ourselves in, a good question to ask is, what is it I am to learn from this? Exactly. I think every situation, that is the question. What am I here to learn from this so that I'm better able to serve from this? What am I able to learn from this so I'm better able to serve from this? We cannot afford to believe in imperfection for a single second. To do so is to doubt God. It is to believe that there is a power separate from God. It's a belief in duality. Well, yeah, I know, but that guy sleeping under the bridge, there's just not enough for him. No, don't believe it for a second. Well, okay, but I've tried doing that and I've tried writing a book before and it just doesn't work for me and I'm just not good at that. I'm not good enough to do that. No, don't believe it for a second. This is a creative universe. We have the ability to do and create and have and be anything we want to be. But it starts with it. And yes, Nancy, we are perfect, whole, and complete. Actually, you strike on something that I use quite a bit, and my personal definition for the word perfect is whole, complete, with nothing missing. Whole and complete with nothing missing. You are perfect. Each one of us is an absolutely perfect expression of God. Whole, complete, and perfect. Whole and complete. Nothing missing, nothing absent. And everything in our lives, what's necessary to move us forward, it's going to show up in our lives. So turn entirely from the condition. This is still on page 185. This is the next section. Behold, thou my face forevermore, look unto me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth. That is, look up and not down. Look to the good. Look to what's taking you forward. Look to what's calling. And now we're on page 186. Turn entirely away from the condition. Disease and limitation are neither person, place, nor thing. Turn entirely from the condition or limiting situation to its opposite, to the realization of health, happiness, and harmony. Spiritual treatment starts with perfect God, perfect man, and perfect being. which statement consciously removes any belief which defines such a demonstration. We have to be in that place. And this is, in many ways, you'll hear a concept called argumentative treatment. Now, we know that treatment is an affirmative prayer, and we know that treatment sets our mind at and we set that bass tone: perfect mind, perfect God, perfect being, right? Perfect doggy in the background trying to get some attention. And in that, there she goes. She's outside. When we seem to be experiencing something, a mental ailment, a physical feeling, an ailment, something that we don't like, then we turn away from that and we turn to what we do want. This is the basis of it. So an argumentative treatment is a place where I haven't cleared my mind of the blockage. I haven't cleared my mind of the perceived, not real, not true, but the perceived limitation that's happening. And so in some instances, you will hear practitioners and people pray and minister, and we will state the conditions we don't want. And we will state that there is no power in that there is no disease in the mind of God. The dis-ease is only in the mind of human and pets and other sentient mind, but there is no dis-ease in the mind of God. So I have to turn and face that and remind myself that I am connected to that I can express that one mind, and that one mind is expressing through me, and I can activate any aspect of that universal mind at any time. Speak it. So look at what you want. Turn away from the condition and look to the desire and to the good that you wish to experience in your life. Reverend Dr. Prince Fleet Easton, I believe, is in the room. Good morning, sir. Good to see you. Great that you're with us. Thanks for being here. I know you understand this. You've read this book. So we never want to limit our view of life, and we never want to limit our view of life by past experiences. That's another huge part of this, right? So we're always looking to the good. We're always looking for what we want. But anytime we might run up against that, yeah, but I tried that once. Yeah, I tried that once. Didn't work. Didn't work for me. Principle is not bound by precedent. I forget where Holmes says that in this book, but he says it. He says it a lot. We say it a lot. Right? Never limit your life by any past experiences. This is page 187. The possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is, backed by the power to produce this imagery or divine imagination. The possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is. So, let's answer a question here. Welcome back, Roy. What if we know that we are sinful? How can we be perfect? Roy, I'll tell you straight up, you're not sinful. Nothing you have ever done has been a sin. Not by the traditional sinful, you are going to hell. This has been said in a lot of ways and by a lot of people. And to the best of my knowledge, there's no other truth there's truth here. The original use of the word sin is an archery term that simply meant to miss the mark. That was a sin. You pull back an arrow, you let it fly, and you didn't hit the bullseye. But you still hit the target. And you still learned from the experience, and you still grew from the experience. And I trust you made it a commitment to say, I'm going to do better next time. Or I'm going to do different next time. Now, maybe not. Maybe, Roy, maybe you're a really bad guy. No, don't believe it for a second. Don't believe it for a second. People misuse this. law, this truth. Perhaps not intentionally, perhaps they're not aware of this law, of the laws of the universe, perhaps they're not aware of any of this, and they're just caught in a self-feeding cycle of negativity and depression and all that stuff, and they're misusing, often unconsciously, the law. But once we awaken to it, out of chaos, we can create harmony. Out of chaos, we can create life. Out of anything, we can create what we want. So the answer to Roy, your question is, number one, stop believing you're sinful. Cast that thought aside. Send that thought, that imperfect, ineffective, and unhelpful thought, cast that aside. Nope, don't need that. Send that back to that, just dissolve that thought completely. Let it go. Anytime it shows up, no, that's not the truth of me. I'm whole, complete, and perfect. I'm a divine expression of God. No, you're not, Roy. You're sinful. No, I'm not. Fight with yourself. Argue. Wrestle with your angels for as long as it takes to get to that point to say, I am perfect. I am a divine expression of the Most High. Yes, Prince. When you're not your authentic divine self, you miss the mark. That is the only, if there is such a thing as a sin, the only sin is you not being you. And you know, folks, it's okay to be you, even if other people don't like the you that you are. It's important for you to be you. Please don't try to be me. Please don't try to be anyone else. Please don't try to be something because somebody else needs you to be that or wants you to be that. The only way we make life work is when we show up as our authentic self. And I could bore you with stories for days in various iterations of my life where I tried to be what other people wanted me to be. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm going to start being what I want to be. And it's pretty fun. Continuing on page 187, the bottom of the first paragraph. The way scientifically to work out a problem is daily in thought to conceive of it as already being an accomplished fact in experience. We realize the desire is already embodied in the absolute. We're dealing with nothing less than the absolute with reality. Out of chaos, we can produce order. Where a way is being made. And part of that is, right, remember the prescription, don't believe it for a minute, for a second. Out of chaos comes order. There is no chaos. It's only chaos because I say it is. It's only chaos because I let somebody else say, oh my God, that must be chaotic doing that much stuff and that. No. Some people work it. Some people can multitask. Depends on what it is. You can see I have a tough time talking and typing at the same time, but you know, I can go out in the backyard, plant flowers and dig a ditch at the same time, pretty much. Not the greatest example. So place no limits on principle, page 188. Know your own mind. Train yourself to think what you wish to think. Be what you wish to be. Feel what you wish to feel. And place no limits on principle. This principle, the way we use these laws, again, not bound or based on precedent. Not bound by precedent. Just because it's always been that way does not mean it has to be this way. Just because I wake up every morning and brush my hair in one direction does not mean I have to do that. I can shave it all off, let it start growing back, and train it to go the other direction. Whatever it is for you, do not limit yourself. Shoot for the stars. Envision the biggest vision possible. I like to say, if you hang out around this ministry long enough, we're going to convince you of your greatness. Somebody, one of the amazing ministers that has different programs here, one of these talks, some of our experience, somehow hang out long enough, and we're going to convince you of your magnificence. And then you get to live it. The words which you speak would be just as powerful as the words which Jesus spoke, if you knew your word was the law whereunto it was sent. But you must know this within and not merely accept it with your intellect. If you have reached a point where your inner consciousness believes, then your word is simply an announcement of reality. We're not begging. We're not beseeching. We're not down on bended knee. Oh, please, please, God, give me. Oh, please say. No. No. That just reinforces our belief that there is poverty, that somebody could be ill, is broken or ill or needs saving. There's nothing to be saved from. Plain and simple. No, Wayne, do not believe it for a second. You're right. You were not planted upside down. You accept your greatness. That's the constant back and forth, the constant play of our, truly of our lives. And I've often said that once you learn this philosophy, it truly is impossible to not live this philosophy. And you might pretend that you're not living it. You might pretend you don't understand this. You might want to bury your head in the sand. But once you understand this, there's no real going back. It opens the door for everything. Because now you do have the ability. And you have the knowledge. And we're just in that practice of developing the belief day by 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 day, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. All that creates heaven on earth. Thank you for your comment, Roy. I'm going to come back to that, and I'll get to that, I promise. No. Now this is back to Holmes on page 188 again, and we're in the third paragraph now. Capital letters, N-W-K-N-O-W. No. Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt, set off with little dashes, right? No, without a shadow of a doubt that as a result of your treatment, affirmative prayer, your spiritual mind treatment, without a shadow of a doubt that as a result of your treatment, some action takes place in infinite mind. Infinite mind, God, is the actor, and you are the announcer. There is great and glorious abundance coming into my life. I'm going into the mountains today. I'm going to have a great and fabulous and amazing day, throw a round of Frisbee off this afternoon, and break my personal record on the course that I'm shooting. That's what's going on. That's the truth. That's what I'm planting in the seed, in the mind, in the infinite mind of the one. If you have a vague, subtle, unconscious fear, be quiet and ask yourself, who am I? What am I? Who is speaking? What is my life? In this manner, think right back to principle until your thoughts become perfectly clear again. Again, this is what I was talking about with argumentative treatment. So if in the middle of that prayer, and I'm going to the mountains and I'm going to have a great day, and it's going to be muddy and rainy and crappy. No, wait a minute. That's not necessarily the truth. I want it to be beautiful and sunny and great. Let's do that. Let's do that instead. Drop down just a little bit more at the bottom of the paragraph. Sorry, the bottom of the page, 188. Coming into the home stretch here, folks, and we're going to answer some questions, and we got a couple of good ones in the comment box. In demonstrating over conditions, The only inquiries we need to make are, do the things we want lend themselves to a constructive program? Now, this is in the section called God Never Compromises. Remember that. Remember that. God never compromises. The oneness, the infinite mind, the law, the all of all, the everything. There is no compromising going on. So let's find a compromise here. Let's agree to disagree here. Let's find a quote win-win that everybody can be happy about. Nope. And that's often why consensus building doesn't actually work either, because it's pretty tough to get everybody to agree to every single point of running another story. Do the things we want lend themselves to a constructive program? Do they express a more abundant life, rob no one, create no delusion, and express a greater degree of livingness? There it is. Does what we're doing, what you're doing, what you're thinking about, it's what you're thinking about, what you're thinking about, does that express a more abundant life, rob no one, create no delusion, and express a greater degree of livingness? If you can say yes to all of that, then all the power in the universe is behind what you're talking about. You can't even stop it. The only way you could cause anything to get off the rails is to start creating delusions and start trying to manipulate people or take advantage of people or rip people, all the things that we can misuse this law too. People write books about it. If all the answers, and it doesn't matter what it is. I personally like to play, and you'll hear me use this phrase a lot, everything necessary. Because the truth is, if it's not necessary for this thing we're doing, for the mission, for the success of this ministry, and if it's not for the success of my family, if it doesn't move my family forward, if it doesn't bring more abundance into my life, if it doesn't support my family and my work and what I'm doing, then why would I want it in my life? Why would I be doing it to begin with? So everything necessary comes forward at just the time it's necessary. Holmes says it this way. If it is money, houses, automobiles, lands, stocks, bonds, dresses, shirts, or shoestrings, all of which comes from the same source, by the way, then there can be nothing either in the law or in the spirit back of the law to deny us the right to the greatest possible expression of life. Nothing. But it's got to meet those conditions, right? Robs no one, leads to abundance, creates no delusion, and expresses a greater degree of livingness. If we're doing all of that, then everything necessary has to come into our lives. It has to, by the law of the universe. And if this thing works in one place, and I have personally demonstrated that for myself, I have proven that to myself, and I trust you have as well. And if you haven't, let's have a conversation, because I'm sure you probably have somewhere. You might just not see it that way. If this law works in one place, then it must work in all places. It's a law. Like gravity. It doesn't stop working just because someone decided not to believe that way today. Oh, I don't think I'm going to play by the laws of gravity today. Thanks. I'm opting out. It doesn't work that way. I'm not going to play by the laws of power of my mind and belief today. It doesn't work that way. Walk around all day believing that life is going to hell in a handbasket. Well, you know where that leads. Good never compromises with its opposite. God never compromises with its good, with its opposite. Abundance never makes a compromise and says, okay, I'll let you experience lack today, but tomorrow we're going back to being abundant. I'll let the world experience lack for a year, and then we'll go back to being abundant. Let the world experience hell, death and sickness for a year, and then we'll go back to being healthy. It's not how it works. Our base is healthy. Our misbelief causes disease. Good never compromises with its opposite. The one practicing must be able to look a fact in the face and know that all manifestations are effects and can be changed by changing the mental cause. We must be able to look at the sick man, the sick person who has come to us for help, and know that the perfection stands before us. Truth knows no opposites. When we take away the belief in evil, the belief that the outward appearance is the same as the inner reality, evil flees. We must continually remind ourselves of the power of the word, our prayer, our spiritual mind treatment, and our ability to use it. We must know the truth produces freedom because truth is freedom. Our work will best be done in quiet expectancy and in calm confidence. The results rest in the eternal law of good. I love that part. Our work will be best done in quiet expectancy and in calm confidence. Quiet expectancy and calm confidence. I don't have to shout to from the rooftops what it is I desire in my life or what I wish to see in the world. But I have to do it. I have to be in that place, and I have to be in that place of quiet expectancy. Now, here's the difference. Expectations, and I have said this often, expectations are nothing more than premeditated resentments. But a state of expectancy, expecting our good, and calm confidence that it's happening. That we're living the life we're here to live. That you are here to make a difference on this planet, and you are. And together, we're creating a world that works for all. So I want to thank you for being with us here this morning. I want to answer some questions and chat about a couple of things. And if you have other comments or if this has brought up other questions, please put them in the chat box and we'll jump in. I want to touch a couple of things. Roy, am I saying God is science? Yes. God is all. God is everything. And in the very end, science, we can find plenty of examples of science starting to preach what we have been teaching in this book for decades. And the very opening lines of this book on page 25, we all look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible. Science knows nothing of opinion, but recognizes a government of law whose principles are universal. Yet any scientist who refuses to accept intangible values has no adequate basis for the values which he has already discovered. Revelation must keep faith with reason and religion with law, while intuition is ever spreading its wings for greater flights, and science must justify faith in the invisible. And science is doing that. They have been proving, and every so often I see another study come out where somebody proves that meditation works or that this or that, and it's like, we've known this, but it's nice to see science catching up. So, and to continue with your inquiries here, Roy, because I saw another one here that I wanted to touch with as well. Yes, people will tell you that the only way to reach heaven is by accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior. That is very, very true. There are a lot of people out there who will be very happy to reinforce that belief and that belief system. And I personally feel and believe that system was developed to do nothing more than manipulate and control people. I do not believe that most of what is taught was brought about is here to support us. And I'm looking for I closed my book. Now I got to go back and find that piece, that our reminder here right? To express a more abundant life, rob no one, create no delusion, and express a greater degree of livingness. I think in many ways, religion, as it was, and many people were brought up in, had a tendency to delude people. So it doesn't qualify. It just doesn't. And I believe we are capable of creating heaven here on earth. Moment by moment. That's the promise of this, is that we have the ability to create heaven on earth. Each and every one of us. And if we're not doing that, if you're not, like, and we all have it, right? What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? Well, this is a starter house. Well, I want to move up to another place someday. Well, I'm kind of getting big. We want to downsize, right? Whatever it might be. Well, I'd always wanted to live in the desert. I'd always wanted to live in the mountains. Whatever that might be, we can create that. There's no question about it. We just have to get clear on what we want, set our mind to it, and we do it. And it happens. And by the power of these laws and understanding this, I believe we accelerate that greatly. The tricky part's knowing what to believe and what we do believe. And then say, welcome back. Good to see you again. This is a great piece too, right? I have a difficult time visioning something greater than I've experienced so far in life in terms of what I could create in my life. That could be my biggest dream or desire. Yes, I don't know what I want. Right? I don't know what I don't know. I get you. That's why we have visioning. And that's why we have our spiritual practices. And that's why and here on New Thought Media Network, Monday morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, we do a visioning practice, and we'll be in spiritual practice together and visioning. And that's a great way to start catching an idea on where you want to go. Private coaching, I'm always available for private coaching and mentoring as well. Those sorts of things. Here on the network, Tuesday mornings, we do a journaling practice at 7 a.m. Wednesday mornings, we do a meditation at 7 a.m. We do group meditations at various times. Friday morning, 9:30 with the Heart of Peace meditation. Global Love meditation is Wednesdays at noon on Mountain Time. The Peace Circle is on Monday nights at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. That is another long form meditative experience. All these things are here to help us deepen our recognition of the intimate connection that we are as God, as the One, and so support us in revealing and exploring, and I like to say rediscovering the calling of our soul, the work we are here to do, the sacred work. And I say rediscovering because I don't believe it's not been discovered. I believe you've always known it. It's always been a part of it. It's always there in you. And we're rediscovering the deep calling of our soul. So just like we'll continue, hang out around here long enough and we'll convince you of your greatness. We'll convince you of your magnificence. Hang out around here long enough, and I trust that we can support you in determining what that vision is and getting an idea and starting to move in that direction as well, if you like. So why is it that Christians do not believe in science? Wow. If I could answer that question, Roy, I might be able to, I would write a book. And in the mind of the divine, right, what we're talking about is from this perspective and from my perspective, not believing in science is a misuse of the law. It's a denial of what is universally true, is universal truth. And, it's been said that this is an easy philosophy. And sometimes it doesn't feel that way. Sometimes it doesn't seem that way. I think it's an easy philosophy to understand intellectually. It's heady, it digs in there, it makes you think. But I think it's a more challenging and exciting philosophy to live. And that is what it's all is, going out there to live it. To live it and experience it, create it day by day, moment by moment. Yeah. And Wayne, you've got the question, right? Wayne, what I want to create in my life is exactly. Does it support moving forward? Does it support us? And I'll tell you, that's probably the biggest question that I ever work with. And all the people that I get to work with, all the people I get to support and help along their journey, that is the number one question. What is it you really want? What do you really want? What do you want for the world? What do you want for yourself? And then we start to work with everything. Nothing like fear, doubt, perceived limit, nothing like all of that to show up the minute you set yourself into a big goal, right? All right, we're going to go do this. And I can't find my hammer. Where's my hammer? I don't have somebody's, right? Nothing like setting a big intention, a big goal for all of your inner demons to raise up and say, hey, now you're not good enough. Hey, now you don't have enough of this. Hey, now what makes you think you can do that? Don't believe it for a second. Especially if it's in your own voice. Unless it's good, unless it moves you in the right direction. All right, I'm going to get out of here, folks. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. This is the New Thought Media Network. We're here every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. I am myself and our team. And now last week, if you didn't get a chance to catch Reverend Victoria Bomberry last week, and we mentioned that earlier in today's program, she was with us last week, filling in for one of our other speakers who had something pop up. And next week, she was originally scheduled to be here next week with us and take us into the first part of this next section. And let me make sure I get it right, so I'm telling you the right thing here. Yes, it is the next chapter, Physical Perfection. And we're breaking this part into a couple of talks. So join us next week as Reverend Victoria kicks us off on the next chapter, Physical Perfection. In the meantime, I do want to also say thank you so much for being a part of the New Thought Media Network family. There's those of you here today that I know are on our committed giving plans, and you're donating on a regular basis. And we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That means so much to help us continue to share this message across the world and across the planet. That would be redundant. If you would like to contribute and be a part of this, there is a donate button in the description of the program somewhere. Please do click on that and take a look at that. And that is that. Let's see what else is going on. It's Saturday, which means our next broadcast, it will be a little bit later this afternoon. Spirit Says Sing at 6 p.m. Mountain Time with Diego Reyes. Always a great, great program. And I invite you to join us back for that later this evening. And then we'll be doing evening prayers at 8:15. So I'm out of here for now. Thank you so much for being with us, dear ones. I look forward to seeing you again and again and again. And we'll be back here next week with the next part of the Science of Mind and Spirit lecture series. Next week, Physical Perfection, Part 1. Until then, please make it a great day. Make it a great life. Give yourself every need. Take care. Go be loved. How about that? I love you, dear ones. Until next time, peace and blessings. Bye. you.